Abel, please rise and join us with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has council had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes of January 16th? If so, I'll ask for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Those in favor can state aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Any changes to this evening's agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Becky. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Guest and open forum. This evening, we have Tammy Leggett-Johnson to address the council. If you'll come to the podium, you have 3 to 5 minutes.
Hi, I don't know who to speak to. The council? Okay, sounds good. Thank you for having me here tonight. So I'm also up below on the consent agenda. So here to speak today just regarding city code for massage therapy. We currently have on the city code massage therapy Sunday to Sunday, 7 days a week, starting at 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I'm asking for the city to consider adjusting the city code so we could adjust Monday through Friday for 6 a.m. still to 9 p.m. So not looking to adjust the evening hours because I understand the reality and the stigma that goes along with massage therapy business, but looking to open up the hours for those parents or individuals that are either utilizing the gym early or the parents that can utilize that daycare time when you are either at the school or adventure zone for the community center, dropping off the kids and being able to work on your health and wellness before starting your workday. And this would help the community in terms of not having to pay for additional daycare when you're looking for massage or wellness just on weekends and having to fill that void. So that is why I'm here today, to see if the city code could get adjusted. So not only myself could begin work earlier at 6 a.m., but other massage therapists in our community too, so we could serve those not just on weekends, but early in the morning as well.
Could you repeat the hours that you were requesting us to look at?
Yes, Monday through Friday,
Okay.
and that would be for 6 a.m. and then until the regular 9 p.m.
Okay. All right, we'll take that into consideration, and we'll have staff do a little research, and they'll bring it back and address you with an answer.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for guest and open forum? Seeing none, I'll move into committee reports. The Fire Relief Association, Mr. LaRude.
The finance director, I'll take care of it. Finance director and I met with the Relief Association at their annual meeting a couple of Wednesdays ago. We were there primarily to present, we've been asked to present information about the statewide Volunteer Firefighters Relief Association, information about that, so we did a little presentation for them, answered some questions. That is something that takes the course of a year to evaluate, and all entities, so the Relief Association, the City Council, and the Town Board all have to agree to look at it, and then there's another decision later on if you want to join, all have to say you want to join. So probably be forthcoming, there's no obligation to get an estimate, so that will probably be coming mid-year this year.
Is that like a combined, almost like a state, instead of everybody having their own, there's basically
Yes.
just a statewide one?
Yes, you have an account, you have your account in there, but it's managed by the folks at PRA. By the pension folks.
Does that allow, because I know there's different support levels or whatever throughout the state, so it still allows you to do that, it's just that they do the administrative piece of it?
Yep, they administrate, right, so if you wanna claim your pension, you just fill out the form, send it to the state. The Relief Association special fund here just ceases to exist.
But every entity still maintains their own level, whatever they've set as their.
Yep, approval of benefit levels still has to be done the way it's done now, comes to City Council and Town Board separately, and they have to agree to it as well.
Okay, because they've had the individual running that for quite a few years here, and I believe that person is retired.
That's what
about
kind
to
of triggered this discussion that we were asked to come and present about other options.
Okay.
Yep.
Golf Committee.
Golf Committee, we met on the 25th of January. We have a lot of things that are kind of coming up here actually on our agenda tonight, just with some restoration projects and upgrades up there. We did learn the year-to-year revenue comparison, which was a good year for the golf course this year. They were up about almost 90,000, so that's with everything like food, beverage, daily fees, and season passes and all that fun stuff, so that's about it.
Okay. Joint Planning was canceled. How about the Planning Commission?
Planning Commission, we met last Monday, the 29th. We had several public hearings, 3 of them. We had one for, well, the one was good, but the 2 that'll be on our agenda for tonight, the Excel property rezone, and then our favorite, Chapter 11. Also, during our exec session, we'll have zoning code presentation from MSA, and so we had another piece of that was presented to us, and we had discussion about as well, so.
Okay. Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance met February 1st. Went through the standard financials like we always do. Everything was looking as expected. Past 2 utilities were about $12,000. We looked at a new calendar to certify maybe twice a year instead of once. We talked about the facility discussion. We talked about the Minnesota State Aid Street update, and that will be presented to us in the second meeting in February from Budget and Finance. And we received a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting. And that will be officially presented sometime in March. And that was about it.
All right. Park and Rec.
Park and Rec met Monday, January 29th. We heard a presentation about a lacrosse practice wall that they're looking to build at the BAC. We talked about the Shervin Avenue Trail, the grant opportunity. We talked about the goings-on at the BCC. There is a father-daughter dance on February 10th. There is supposed to be a sledding party on February 16th. That's not likely to happen. We talked about Kolbinger. The rinks are done, obviously. And we talked a little bit about the CIP and what we're looking at to do there. Nothing set in stone yet, still working on that.
All right. Any other committees that we missed? All right. If not, we'll move on to Board Committee and Consultant Reports. Pebble Creek Event Seating and Patio Purchase. Mr. Kua.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about a couple of capital improvement purchases that we've been planning for the 2024 year. The first of which is in regards to our event chairs and our patio. So the timing is pretty good on the chair purchase. We have a lot of weddings and large events, and the duration that people actually sit in those chairs, some of you have been in some of those day-long meetings, is pretty extensive. So the chairs were originally purchased in 2018. They're starting to show some minor disrepair, but a big part of the improvement is the experience and the quality of the chair itself. So the city park chairs are by far the oldest, and those ones are really in need of replacement. So what we would look to do if we're allowed to purchase new event chairs for Pebble Creek is we would reallocate 125 of the best ones from Pebble Creek and put those at City Park, and then look to liquidate the City Park chairs and the remaining that weren't reutilized from Pebble Creek via auction or maybe through the League of Minnesota Cities, and seeing if there's any other nonprofits or anything that are looking for some chair seating. So that's part of it. And then the second part is looking to purchase new patio tables for the main deck at Pebble Creek. And again, what we would look to do is take the existing ones that were on the dining side patio and move those to the event side patio, because currently the event patio has just kind of some wrought iron, really rickety, really old tables. So in both of these purchases, we would kind of better different areas of either City Park or our event side. So it's kind of a straightforward purchase of both of those. I've supplied the quotes and pictures of what we're looking to attain. Would be really excited about the deck tables. They're made of a resin material that wouldn't warp, like we did experience with our previous tables. So yeah, I've attached the quotes and the pictures of those, and I'd welcome any questions that you might have on either of those. We have spoke with this with Golf Committee, and they are supportive of these capital purchases. So happy to answer any questions. At the end, looking for a motion and a second to allow Pebble Creek to purchase new banquet chairs and outdoor tables as presented.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to allow Pebble Creek to purchase new banquet chairs and outdoor tables as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Josh. Pebble Creek kitchen equipment purchase.
Thank you once again for this opportunity. Again, we have planned for this for the 2024 as part of our capital improvement plan. Our kitchen has a number of items that are beyond their useful life. They're giving us issues, and in a couple of cases, one is there's a really exciting piece that will have a really positive return on investment. So we had budgeted $15,000 for kitchen equipment improvements, and I'll kind of briefly run through kind of the list of pieces of equipment, and feel free to jump in at any time if you got a specific question, otherwise we can revisit it. But our current 48-inch flat top, our griddle, has got hot spots in it that we're just unable to attack. We've had a lot of people look at it, and unfortunately it makes it cooking on that flat top very difficult because you gotta either learn to work with it or avoid specific areas. So we're looking at replacing that with a 60-inch countertop griddle, which would expand our cooking space. So if we want to get into breakfasts and our brunches and things like that we've been discussing, it would be a very useful improvement. We're looking at adding an additional fryer. That would bring our fryer count up to 4. We currently run into capacity issues when we're doing fish fries and things like that, so the team has identified that as a need for us to increase. Our meat slicer is no longer operational. We've tried to troubleshoot it with some power issues, but that one is on the shelf, so part of this plan would be to purchase a new meat slicer. Another one is a salamander broiler. So this is like a wall mount broiler that can be used for pastas, nachos, when you want to do some kind of high impact melting of different dishes. It allows us to expand our menu and improve the quality of some current menu items. So that's one the team was very excited about. Our current dual oven is a 6-burner, and as you might recall, most of you have been around the city operations long enough. This was actually at the community center before I started about 6 years ago, so we had moved that in. It wasn't getting any much use at the community center, so we moved that over to Pebble Creek at that time. One of the ovens has failed, and what we really need is more burners. The 10 burners would allow us to do a lot more pastas, and as we're seeing kind of the normal volume of the day-to-day, having 4 more burners as well as dual working ovens would be very important for our operation. The piece I referenced on the return on investment is a Vito fryer filter. So this is kind of a portable unit that we would filter our fryer oil every night. And what that does is it improves the quality of the oil, but it also extends the life. So currently, we're changing our oil once a week. We would be able to get to probably 10 days by doing this. And the cost of the oil it's quite a bit. So we would expect a savings every year after that's paid itself off of $7,000 to $9,000 in oil purchases just by extending that life. So that piece of equipment, I believe, is like $3,400. It would pay itself off in oil savings within the first 4 to 6 months. So eventually that piece of equipment could pay for all of this equipment that we're presenting tonight. And then the remaining money that would be allocated is something we're still working through with the State Department. Councilman Hendrickson has been involved in this because he's kind of a high-level meat smoker and barbecue guy. So we're looking to expand our offerings and looking to get like a vertical pellet smoker. Obviously, in making a purchase like that, we want to make sure the Department of Health is happy with what we're getting. So we've had a lot of good constructive conversations with them, and we're kind of narrowing the scope. But we would take the remaining $2,000 that is unallocated in the equipment that's attached to your packet tonight to look to make that investment, which would have some exciting benefits. There is remaining money that's set aside for the fire suppression that would have to be reallocated, the fire nozzles for certain pieces of equipment, as well as tapping into our main gas line to service 2 new pieces of equipment. But all of it would fit within its current footprint in the kitchen and under the hood system and fire suppression as would be required. So a lot of information, a lot of pieces of equipment, but all in all, talked to golf committee about that. They're supportive of these purchases. We budgeted $15,000 in the capital improvement plan, and we would not look to exceed that number. With that, happy to answer any questions you have. If not, looking for a motion in a second to allow Pebble Creek staff to purchase the proposed kitchen equipment as presented.
So with the smoker, with us not having a model picked out or, having things dialed in there yet, on one hand, we'd want to bring it back, but on the other, it's a $2,000 purchase. We typically wouldn't bring a $2,000 purchase back, I guess. Is the motion here or the suggestion to include the $2,000 for a smoker then?
It would be to reach the $15,000 that was budgeted for the kitchen equipment. If for some reason in conversations with you and the product selection, or if we hit a wall with the state where we're saying we can't find something within that, say it was $3,000 or $4,000, we would spend $2,000 of the capital and then we'd just fund the rest out of minor tools and equipment within our operations, or potentially pivot to another specific piece of equipment and pivot away from the smoker. But we're kind of going into it with the hopes of getting that done. And I should mention also, any of the residual equipment, whether it's the ovens, things like that, they would be taken to auction or A to Z if there's some value that some of the secondhand proprietors, if there's value in it, we would look to offload it. And some things might get tossed, like, or scrapped for metal, like the meat slicer, which wouldn't have any value, but certainly wouldn't be going home with any staff or anything like that. It'd be, we'd try to get whatever value we could out of it.
Have you got an issue with the smoker?
I don't have an issue. We talked, we had some discussions. It's gonna be more of what the health department will allow and what they won't. There's a big difference between what you can do in your patio versus.
No, I understand that. That's why I was asking if you had an issue with it, if you want to have that held out for the time being, or until he gets an answer, or for sure what he can do.
I mean, that's kind of what I was just saying is, we wouldn't normally do a $2,000 purchase to come, ask somebody to bring back a $2,000 purchase,
Right.
but,
Well, I would wait to purchase it until we got the approval from the health department.
yeah, well, for sure. Yeah.
And that's why there's not a specific piece being presented in the packet, is we're still having those. They've identified a number, because it's really hard to find a lot of commercial smokers in NSF. They don't go through the process of getting those units like certified, because I'm sure there's a cost to it. But I was able to get a list of smokers, but I wanted to circle back with you, Rick, and kind of say, hey, okay, these are pieces that are within our budget or maybe slightly over that would be funded out of ops. And then based on your knowledge, kind of get some more feedback on those specific pieces of equipment. But to what you're saying, if out of our minor tools in our operations budget, if we wanted to make a $3,000 purchase, it wouldn't come before council.
Where do we land on the smoker part of this? If you're uneasy, we can easily take it out and just address it at another.
No, I don't wanna, come back for a $2,000 purchase, I guess, so,
And it would be purchased based upon the health department issuing a yes.
Correct.
yeah.
Yep. So I think that safeguards your,
Yeah, that I'm not
Concern.
concerned that we would prematurely purchase it there, I just,
yeah.
okay, yeah, no, we can do that,
Okay.
just include it here. Maybe, do we wanna maybe set a cap? I mean, cause the budget was 2,000, so I mean, if we're gonna go over, if it's all of a sudden 5,000, if that's the lowest we can get, then, then we're talking, exceeding by 3,000, so then we're,
Yep, not out of the planned CIP budget of 15. The two would come up to that limit, and then we would fund the rest out of our operations for the remaining 3, if we chose to proceed with that particular piece of equipment at that price.
Let me make sure that I'm following what you're saying, Rick. Josh has allocated 15,000 out of the CIP budget for these pieces of equipment. 12,000 of it is like these specialty items, or not specialty items, kitchen items. 1,000 was for fire suppression, and then 2,000 was for the purchase of a smoker if the health department okays. That's
That's correct.
my understanding?
Yep,
Okay.
that is correct.
Okay.
and if the smoker were to go over 2,000, then it would have to come out of operations.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
How much over? I mean, 2,000 to 5,000 to me is a substantial increase. I guess if it gets that much, then I guess I'd like to see it come back.
I'm okay with that coming back too, if it's over 2,000, because I think we'll at that time need a little bit of a education piece of
Should we
knowledge.
bring samples, or we?
Well, hey,
No,
okay,
I'd be okay with that.
all right.
So you get 2,000, and then if it's over 2,000, then we'll just bring it back and.
Sounds good.
Okay, with that, then I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase of equipment for the kitchen at Pebble Creek.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
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 Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
You? Pebble Creek Encore Shelter Restoration Project, Mr. Scharfenkamp.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight before you, I have a project that we started a few years ago, and then we ended up with a storm that brought insurance into the mix and kind of delayed the project. We ultimately found out that the structures were not insured, so now we would like to move forward with restoring those structures and updating them, as they are a pretty considerable eyesore to the property. We are working with the Public Works Department on it as a project. They have developed a parts list for us that pretty extensively goes through everything that is visible on these structures. That said, there could be some damage to, once we start removing the few shingles that are left on them, where we may have to do a little bit more decking. One thing that we would change as well to the structures is creating one solid wall and then 2 half walls to increase the structural integrity of them. Some of them are open air with just 4 columns, and you can walk up and shake the entire structure. Otherwise, we discussed this at golf committee, and we were on board with that. And if we were to do this, it would be funded out of the capital improvements plan that was previously budgeted for $20,000 and not to exceed that number. Any questions I can answer on it?
When would you I'm assuming try and get the work done before, especially with the good weather
Yep.
here, to get before the first tee this year?
yeah, taking advantage of this warm weather, with lack of snow plowing and stuff, we're able to get that fit in, so. If no other questions, I would ask for a motion and second to approve the Encore Shelter Restoration Project.
I'll make a motion to approve the Encore Shelter Restoration Project.
I'll second that.
Motion from Becky, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody's favorite, Chapter 11, Parking Regulations in T-Town, Mr. Sanders.
Hopefully the last time before we bring a UDO to you, so.
Yeah.
This time I'm saying, well, no, I can't promise, but hopefully there is no other one, so. During recent enforcement, it came to the attention of staff that T-Town was inadvertently, if you remember, there were some code changes that were made a few years ago related to parking, some pretty substantial changes. T-Town wasn't included in the list of R2, parking regulations that applied to CCOM regarding surfacing, so that just needs to be added in, so it's a fairly simple add, it's just adding T-Town, so. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing, and no public comment was given at the meeting, and no written comment received, so they approved of that, recommended approval of it, so we're seeking for a motion and a second approving ordinance 281 second series and second series summary for publishing. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 281 second series, revising section 1120 subdivision 4B of chapter 11 land use regulations zoning of City Becker Code.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 281 second series summary for publication purposes.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rezoning of the Elk River Technology parcel. Welcoming to the podium for his first time, Austin Peterson.
Thank you, Council. Before you tonight, we have a rezone for an Xcel Energy-owned property. Xcel has applied to rezone that 348-acre parcel as part of working towards their sale with Elk River Technology. It's currently a split zone property, which is not something we promote or try to practice. The future land use map has it as a heavy industrial property. City staff has checked with the city attorney who agrees with what we're proposing. Staff is recommending that the parcel be rezoned from its current split zoning of both Industrial 2 and Industrial 3 to just be Industrial 3 zoned. This rezoning of the parcel meets goals from the 2040 Becker Comprehensive Plan, including economic development and land use. And so with that, we're seeking a motion and a second approving ordinance 280 second series and a motion and second approving ordinance 280 second series summary. And then I'll stand for any questions you guys have.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 280 second series, revising section 1112 of Becker City Code, rezoning property to Industrial 3 I3 from its split zone state of I2 and I3.
I'll second.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 280 second series summary for publication purposes.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
It was easy.
Becker Fire Department Joint Powers Agreement of Mr. LaRude.
Mayor Bertram, city council members, when the decision was made by the city, township, and fire board to look for outside firm for fiscal agent to do the fiscal services for the department, moving the city out of doing them, we took a look at the JPA and realized it was very out of date. There were things in there that said the city was to be doing this, and we weren't, and that we weren't supposed to be doing, and we were. So we engaged in a year-long process to go through, update it, to just reflect better, what's happening throughout all of the documents. And then with the biggest change being in the financial part of the JPA. And so after a couple of meetings, the fire board has looked at it twice as well. We brought it to them at the January meeting of the fire board for recommendation back to the city council and town board. That was recommended. It went to the town board on the 22nd and they approved it as presented. And so it is here tonight for you. There is one other document, shared document, that is not being updated right now. It has to do with the Relief Association's relationship with the fire board and the city and town. We're holding on that till a decision is made, one way or the other, relative to the Relief Association. Once that decision's made, we'll go back, revise that one, and that'll be sometime next year. We'll come back one way or the other with that. But with that, there's no substantial changes, nothing operationally changes at all with the fire department with this. It truly just is an update of the documents. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, but we're requesting a resolution to approve the joint powers agreement, bylaws, and contract to provide fire protection service. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2408, approving the joint powers agreement bylaws governing the JPA board and the contract to provide fire protection services between the city township and fire board as presented.
No, second.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda. Mr. LaRude.
Mayor, City Council, items for approval on tonight's consent agenda include the hiring and termination report for the Police Department and Becker Community Center, approving a new cannabinoid license for Cave Wine and Spirits, and approving a new combination massage establishment business license for Becker Massage and a massage therapist license for Tammy Liggett Johnson. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion from Rick, second from Robin. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Payment of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anniversary announcements for the month of February. Our very own behind the wall, Tony, admin assistant, has been with us for 5 years. Yeah, that went fast. Christine Olin is our accounting technician, and she's celebrating 7 with us. Police Officer David Ryberg is celebrating 7 with us. And from the wastewater treatment facility, we have Michael Behringer celebrating 24 years, Robert Rierson celebrating 19, Christopher Kroll with 6, and Matthew Keller celebrates his first year with us. So congratulations to those individuals, and thank you. Does the council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve or adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Rick. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned, 5:30.